everybody! Welcome to Hang Outlander, our Comic-Con recap episode. We are excited. It's been a couple weeks since Comic-Con. It feels like approximately 20 years. I don't know about you guys, but I literally feels like 20 years ago. So we've got a lot to talk about. We've been pounding Comic-Con recap into your heads if you've been following along on That's Normal. And we really want to focus on what we saw Outlander-wise this week, tonight, and also just talk about some other fun stuff that happens. So, to kick us off, let's introduce ourselves. Beth, why don't you start?
Hi, I'm Beth, and my tagline tonight is Comb Over Twins Unite, because I see Sam Hewen. I'm thinning too, and this is the best I can do tonight. It's got to kind of go around in the front and swoop. And it's not pretty, and I don't have long hair for a reason, and I understand the reason that you've never had long hair, my friend. So I get it.
I like to talk to him because obviously he's watching.
Of course he's watching.
Right.
He's definitely.
I happen to know he has watched one or two.
What?
I'm just kidding.
That he's watched. You don't know, like, personally. Didn't he say he's watched before, though?
I think he just knows our faces from something.
I don't think he's watched.
No, the first time I met him...
haunt his nightmares.
The first time I met him, he knew who I was.
Right.
Like, I don't think he knew my name. Then that was, like, what, a year and a half ago? And he was like, I know you. I totally know you. And I was like, yeah, you totally do, because you watch our stuff. Because there was nothing else back then, before the show had aired, there wasn't anything but us.
I think anytime he reaches us on a press line, there's that moment of realization when he sees one of us. He's like, oh, God, here we go.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All flicking in there.
But that first time, I think it was more like, why do I know who you are? Like, beyond a Twitter profile picture. Like, why do I know you?
We never really talked a ton about casually running into Outlander people somewhere at some point during something. I'm not going to be very specific, but when that happened, we were with another person that I know personally, and I walked up to this person and I said, hi, and he said, hey, this is my friend Sam, and it was Sam Hewen, and I was like, hey, Sam, and it was like so awkward, because we've met Sam. I interviewed, was that before? Anyway, we've interviewed him right after an interview, and it was like, hey, like, it's just so weird. Press stuff is very weird. Anyway, nice to see you, Beth. What are you drinking tonight?
I'm having beer in a can.
Is it called Anaconda?
No, it's Ananda.
Oh.
Ananda, and it's a Memphis beer. It's an ale from Memphis.
Good. Wasn't there an MTV BJ Ananda?
Yes, Ananda Lewis.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. For the old ones on the chat.
That brought back some memories. Thanks, guys.
Go ahead, James. What are you drinking?
Hi, everybody. I am not drinking. I forgot to get water. I was brushing my teeth. For those who haven't heard me complaining on Twitter yet, I got Invisalign. So if you hear me lisping, that's why. Yeah, because I ate a late dinner and I had to go brush my teeth and my trays, and it's lots of fun. And TMI. Okay, next person.
I would just like to know if a good friend gave you your cat holding a book that's sitting behind you on a pillow.
I have a very good friend. Her name perhaps starts with a B, and you can guess which one on chat gave it to me.
Okay, hi, Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie. I'm with That's Normal too. I really didn't go to Comic-Con. I just tagged along, and my tagline, I think, is my right heel is jacked, because Becca and Jamie discovered while we were walking somewhere that my right heel is jacked up, and then Snapchatted it to get help from other people.
She has a very strange foot.
Wait, did you legit go see someone yet? Because I am concerned.
No, no, I didn't.
Well, for the school year.
I was so I'm safe.
What are you drinking tonight, Julie, out of your That's Normal mug?
Out of my That's Normal mug. Yay. I'm just drinking coffee. I already had a glass of wine. If I have another glass, I'll fall asleep right on camera. Which should be fun. I'm on my bed.
I love Julie's position. It's like the best. Looks so comfortable. Hi, Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie. I am in San Francisco, and I am drinking an Australian Cabernet. And I missed out on a lot of the Outlander stuff, but I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. And yeah, about his hair mostly.
I love your tagline tonight. I hunt beards. And that would be, so if you saw our Instagram feed, which is amazing, by the way, because I caught up on what our friends were doing at Comic-Con due to our Instagram feed. Katie did like a find hot guys with beards day or something. And I just saw it the other day. I was like, that's amazing. Yeah.
I'm drinking sparkling water, as I do. And I'm Nikki, if you didn't know. But my tagline is show me to the side door because that's usually just where I end up walking in to things.
Yeah, just a real.
And that's how Beth and I got to go to Game of Thrones, accidentally.
Maybe, allegedly.
Allegedly.
That may or may not have happened.
Allegedly. It happened. Oh, it happened.
Oh my gosh.
All right, and I'm Becca, and I'm drinking rosé, and it's a very strong rosé. 2 glasses in is yikes. Anyway, yeah, that's right. My tagline is San Diego Comic-Con feels like 20 years ago. I'm reading it because I forget. It does. Feels like 20 years ago. So let's get to it, guys. Outlander Comic-Con was a little different this year because last year they were just about to launch season 1. They're making this huge splash. And this year was very much pulled back. Obviously, they only had a few major cast members there. Their big stars display in the middle of the convention hall was not Outlander. It was Ash versus Evil. Is that right?
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, which is totally not my cup of tea, but looks good for people whose cup of tea that is.
Let's talk about the Stars booth for just a second.
Okay.
That was pretty interesting. I thought it was. Not because it wasn't Outlander, because we didn't expect it to be, but because the exact same dudes were there handing out stuff. So we saw Jordan Hannibal, who was in Kilts last year, and a couple of other guys that we recognized from last year. And it was still surrounded with Outlander fans.
Yep.
It was hilarious to me that there was that many people like waiting in line to go through. And the very first day we were on the floor, we saw a major Outlander fan. This is gossip time, guys. Saw a major Outlander fan, like totally bogarting one of the Stars PR people's like time. Literally, we walked back by about 45 minutes to an hour later, and she was still chatting with that girl and taking up her whole day, like talking to her.
Yep.
And I wanted to be like, move it or lose it. You can't stand on the floor that long, and she has a job to do.
And also because of the bogarting of people's time, that was a busy booth. We always went over with the intention of walking through to like periscope it and be like, okay, well, this is what Star is up to. And every time we're like, I'm not standing in that line.
No.
Just to walk through a trailer. Did you walk through it, Katie?
I did not. I just went to see Jordan.
Yeah. Everybody went to see Jordan. You know what Jordan is? He was in a kilt last year. He has a beard. Obviously, Katie went to see him, and he follows Beth on Instagram.
He
As you do.
He sells almond butter or something. Like that's what he does.
How do I not know who Jordan is?
You do. You recognize
It's the one guy who's always there.
Yeah, the attractive one. I mean, a bunch of them are attractive, but he's the better looking. But he has a big beard. Yeah.
It's a little salt and pepper.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a beard, right?
No, he does.
Yeah, he does. It was longer this year. A little
Okay.
more salt and pepper, as evidenced by his age. It's been a year.
He's really, really recognizable because
No,
we.
I remember when we talked to him, but I think I was distracted by the lady that was talking to the Stars PR people, because how could you not look at her? So.
Right. We talked to them at different times.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will try to find, while we're chatting, the Instagram photo we have from last year of this guy. and we will tweet it out.
There's several. I know there's one of you with him, and you're putting your arm in a basket.
Okay. Yeah, I look around.
Like it's detached from your body.
Tweet Jordan so everyone knows who he is.
Let's do it. Let's do it, guys.
I want to get Jordan just as popular as the Outlander drivers.
Yeah.
That is a good idea.
Goals.
Welcome to the Outlander family of PR live event people, whatever.
I mean, maybe someone will bake him muffins. That could happen.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got muffins.
Or a kidnapping cake.
All I have to say is I'm glad I didn't run into any more bagpipers this year. I felt like last year you couldn't walk a block without running into some bagpipers, and while I appreciate the Scottishness and the thoughtfulness, it was a little annoying.
Well, I think that's because we were in the wrong time.
We just didn't run into them. I didn't run into them.
Yeah, I never saw them either, but I did see pictures of like huge groups of people in kilts and stars.
I actually thought it was pictures from last year because I didn't see them at all, and so when I saw like a couple of pictures with some Like It Scott T-shirts on and stuff, I was like, those are from last year. Those guys weren't there.
No, I think they were.
And there were reports of bagpipers underneath the
that bridge.
Yeah, where Henry Cavill was being interviewed, I guess by TV Guide Magazine or EW or somebody, and they played the lady bagpipers played, I don't know, the theme from Superman or something while he was.
Because they recognized him.
Huh?
Because they recognized him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm over the bagpipe music. Like, I understand the relevance and some people really like it, but if there's one more Stars event with the bagpipes in the beginning, I just can't. Which I sound so, it's like white girl problems. I'm like, if I'm invited to like one more Stars event. Sorry, guys.
That just got tweeted, Jamie. I'm back.
White girl problems.
I think everything feels like that, though. It's like every time anything happens with it, you're like, gosh, it's the same. You know, they just are doing so much that they're all similar.
Yeah.
I mean, like the panel this year, we can just y'all are ready to talk about the panel? Because
I think that's a good segue.
I'd love to throw my panel angst out there and plead with whoever's putting that shit together. I really, really wanted it to be a great panel, especially because they were in a bigger room this year. They had all the Hannibal fans were still in there. They could have, gotten some new fans to the show if they'd had a really great panel. And why in the world did we just get Sam, Katrina, Anna, and Ron, and Meryl, I guess, who hardly said anything? Why was that the only people on the panel? Why didn't they bring in all the new cast members? 4 of the new cast members.
Them all, I guess.
I mean, yeah, you're totally right. This is the biggest thing that it's the biggest convention out there, right? But I have a feeling that's going to happen at New York Comic Con because it's closer to it. That's my guess as like a logistics thing, and maybe they'll be able to. It's a little closer, but come on, they have the money. It's not that hire a plane and get your damn cast members to San Diego.
Or think about the fact that they have Frances Delatour, or whatever her name is. Mm-hmm. The girl from the lady that was in Harry Potter. She's a big deal. I mean, she's a big enough deal for people to be like, we want to see her.
Yeah.
And then be like, what? She's in this show? I mean, I just feel like they could have gone a little farther. I would love to have seen Stanley Weber. I would love to have seen some of those other cast members and gotten to know them for the first time.
It felt a little bit like they limped in this year. They're coming off of a really hot season. A lot of people are enjoying the show and talking about it online, but they just showed up with, not that Sam and Kat aren't great, but just showed up with them and the same old people. But I mean, I appreciate that they did some different stuff during their panel, but why the hell were they reading or reciting 50 Shades of Grey lines? I get it. They're funny, but I don't know.
It wasn't that funny. And if you didn't, I assume at this point you probably watched the panel, but they went on the interwebs and they asked people to send in funny, awkward things that they would have to say, and it just fell a little flat. Most of them got through it without laughing. And there's a lot of really terrible, we could have come up with erotica lines for them to say that they would not have gotten through. Or maybe reading some of the posts from some Outlander fan group that we're a part of on Facebook. That would have been hilarious.
Or reading lines like straight from the book, like from the actual book that they're doing. That would have been just as funny. But I think
with alacrity.
What, Katie?
With alacrity.
Oh gosh, alacrity. That's a terrible word.
I don't know that one. I need to get my dictionary out.
It's all over the books.
Yeah. But I mean, it was fine. It just was kind of like, maybe they've done so many panels so many times. They've Paley, they've done New York again. They did, all this, that it's just, there's nothing new for them to say if they're not going to be giving stuff away about season 2.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, look at all the other panels where it's like the same people. Well, maybe not the same people, same shows over and over again, but it's refreshing and new. Like Game of Thrones, Vikings, like those are always interesting panels every year. I think that has to do with the personalities, and they show up. They bring the whole cast, like it's a big deal.
Well, how was Game of Thrones compared, knowing that they can't give anything away, nobody knows what's happening? Was it as good as it normally is?
Well, I mean, it was missing the producers, it was missing George R. R. Martin, the writer, and I mean, obviously it was missing Kit, who plays Jon Snow, so obviously there were some things missing, but I think there were enough really good personalities and interesting things that were happening, and the moderator was really good. That made up for it. Obviously it wasn't as good as some of the past ones, but I don't think it was bad. It was a really fun one.
Yeah, it was totally great. It's just the thing that was annoying for me in Game of Thrones was that the people that were asking questions kept asking about what was going to happen, trying to make it sound like they had this intellectual theory before they finally asked the question, which was basically tell me what's going to happen, and they couldn't answer anything. So that was what was annoying about Game of Thrones. But the panel itself, I mean, Myers was moderating, and it was great because, of course, Gwendolyn Christie's there, and she's fantastic. And then the guy that plays Varys was hilarious. And so they had, hilarious. I mean, he was like doing comic hour. It was hilarious. So, I mean, it was different because personalities were different, and there were enough of them to kind of take over when things lulled. And for the Outlander panel, I felt like no one was pulling out the stops. Nobody up there is a comedian. So it was like...
Can I say something or make a suggestion or ask a question that may not be popular? Is it time? Thanks. Does Diana need to be there anymore?
No.
No!
Julie?
I was just about to make a joke. Like, I was literally about to make a joke. Like, no one's throwing to Diana on a panel when stuff starts getting boring. Like, she's not coming up with the jokes. But, I assume she's always going to be there because she's so connected to that series. People think of the books, they think of her, obviously. So,
I think I agree.
Well, especially because she's going to write an episode, right? That was...
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I do recall hearing that. So I think she's always going to be part of those types of promotions. I mean, just like how George R. R. Martin usually is there for Game of Thrones. And since it seems like they're really closely part of the production, and not just, I wrote this, but I have nothing to do with the actual TV show.
Yeah, but we didn't, other than her saying that she's going to write an episode, we didn't get to hear anything about what that process is like for her. Like, is she in the writing room helping them, like, break episodes, or did they just said, this one's about this, go write it? I mean, we didn't get to hear anything different from her about that. I mean, I'm sure we will.
Yeah, well, I guess it's also the moderator and then what questions were actually asked during the panel. If someone asked about that, I'm sure she would have gone into some long-winded answer.
Well, speaking of that, I was in the EW panel, which is an EW panel. Like there's TV Guide has panels, and this one was an EW panel, and there was an EW moderator like Kristen is E! Online, and that's fun. Like it seemed. Even she, like, EW panel did not have, like, an EW theme, other than that they themed the panel Brave New Warriors. Like, that woman, the moderator, like, took the time to ask them questions that was about their characters, that allowed them all to answer questions, and it was great. But, like, Kristen made it like an e-online panel. Like she had little inside jokes. She had things that were about stuff that they had done on their website. And it was just like not the right time or something. It didn't feel right. It felt like it would be like if Seth Meyer had been like, when you were on my show and we played this game, you know, Gwendolyn Christie, here's what we said. And it wouldn't have made any sense. Like it was very weird. It's like out of place.
Is Seth Meyer a big fanboy of Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Okay. Because sometimes I feel like I wonder if the moderators are like a little too fangirly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I totally think Kristen DeSantos is a fangirl in regards to the show. She hasn't read the book, but she's like, I mean, and this is what I think. I think one of the reasons why Outlander was there, even though I watched the panel, nothing new was revealed except for Diana writing an episode. I think they were there, one, for the Emmy, you know, the Emmy. This was right before the Emmys were announced, the nominations, right? Wasn't it? Yeah, it was right before.
Week or two, yeah.
They were trying to make make themselves known some more, do a push for it. In regards to Kristen DeSantos, I just, you guys are right. It was like an inside joke because they dressed up Sam as a pirate, and if you didn't know what the heck was going on, you're like, why does he look like Captain Feathersword from The Wiggles? I mean, like, that's...
He was a good sport, but that like made zero sense, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is he doing up there with a pirate hook?"
So when I was writing about it, I couldn't even explain it because I didn't feel like looking it up, and like I just didn't care enough that I couldn't remember how to spell Colin O'Donoghue's name, and then I had to Google that, but I didn't care. Like I don't care about that. It didn't make sense. Why would he won? Why did he have to lose?
Even if it made sense, even if you knew what it was about, I knew what it was about. Like I had seen it online and knew enough about it to know what was going on.
Hashtag Hooligan.
Hashtag Hooligan. It did not flow with the panel. She introduced it poorly. Like they had to stop and get him dressed, and it was just this bunch of this dead air time. And I was like, if I were here for another panel, this would be my bathroom pastime. Like this. Not the time to sit and pay attention.
My Run Pee app buzzed me. It was like, go pee now.
This is like, go take your now, because that's how long you can be gone and not miss anything important.
So I just want to say, I honestly didn't think the panel was that bad. I think it was on par with so many panels that I've seen at Comic-Con. Sometimes you luck out and get a really fantastic panel. I think I agree with, like, if they brought maybe some of the new characters, and I guess they're just not ready, like, how they're going to introduce them, and then, you know, I guess they're going to be a little bit more closed off with how they're going to interact, even though we know it's books, so we know kind of who the characters are already. So there could have been some new blood, but honestly, I think we're just being really hypercritical, and granted, it's not like this is the only place where we're hypercritical, but I think, it's just a little case of that. It honestly, for everyone, it wasn't that bad. I think sometimes we like to get a little bit too rough on the people. Kristen did fine, believe me, because remember that panel that we saw in New York, where that like extra TV, like. Oh, yeah.
No, me too.
Understudy for the understudy was just terrible.
No, and I was going to say that. I think Kristen did, even though we're giving her kind of a hard time right now, I did think it was probably one of the better moderated panels that we have seen.
Yeah.
For Outlander.
It was, right. For Outlander. What, Nick?
I said she at least knew the show. One of our Hang Outlander watchers even mentioned that. She was like, wasn't there a worse panel with, like, a moderator who didn't know anything? Like, super lucky to even get someone who knew the show, but we always want like the best thing ever.
Yeah. Well, I think because I didn't get into it, but I was watching the WB, like they had that WB TV nighttime big panel, and they didn't have any people from outside of their shows moderating. It was like always some producer that was moderating, and they were so boring, and they asked the worst questions, and those were places where they really could have used some, like a Kristen even in that circumstance. Sorry, I'm hearing all my S sounds and it's really driving me. But someone like that, just making it a little bit more lively and then interacting and being playful, would have been great. Like, I loved Aisha Taylor. Like the ones that she's moderated were really fantastic. I think Chris Hardwick does a fantastic job, and he's done really great jobs on even ones that like fandoms he's not really into or shows, but he just does enough research to be able, like, he's just so quick on his feet that he really joke easily with people.
And I think,
George
that's what
R.
I really missed was Tobias. Like, I feel like he is so, like, his presence in the panel is like, I realized what a glue it is for him to be able to be like, he's so smart and he's so witty, and he can do the off the cuff and kind of keep things moving in a way that the others can't. And I don't, they don't have to have that skill, but at the same time, like, having someone up there who has that and who can keep it funny and going, I think is really critical, because I felt like, I didn't feel it was horrible, but it did feel really draggy to me and like kind of awkward silency in a way that I didn't feel in the last panel.
I would have liked to hear him read lines from 50 Shades of Grey.
That would have been nice. Just seeing Tobias again would have been really nice.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest.
If you were there or if you watched it and you have different opinions, you totally agree with us, please tweet us so we can hear your opinions and we will share them on the interwebs. We are getting some great tweets though, so keep them coming.
I do agree with Jamie though that it wasn't the worst panel of all time. I mean, obviously not. And I do think Kristen did okay as far as moderating goes. But I really wanted to see like a tiniest bit more information about season 2. Just anything else. Like, I know we saw a great reel, but it was so quick, and I would have liked some more.
Yeah.
Can we also, on that note, talking about the little bit that we saw about next season, and I was periscoping while we were all watching, and obviously when they show any kind of video, you have to turn it off, and so I was doing that. People were like, no, keep it on, da da da. And then I saw tweets online like, oh, we saw the video, like somebody took it, and I just want to say, and because I put it in a post that I did, I talked about it a little bit, and I've tweeted about it, that I'm sorry, not everybody's going to see that content, and by people posting it online, it does, it basically ruins it for everyone because they won't show exclusive things in the future. And I know that not everybody can afford Comic-Con, but that's just a bonus of when hey, I save up all year to go. So it's one of those things, like, I'm sorry you're not able to go, but that's one of the great things about going to Comic-Con is being able to kind of get these exclusives because it's that kind of atmosphere, and they want to be able to provide that. And then people were just so butthurt online because I said that, it's meant for just the people at Comic-Con, and if they choose to release it at a later date, I mean, that's up to them, but like people posting it online are just ruining it for themselves and everybody else. And that is I'm done with my soapbox rant.
Yeah. I think you also have to realize if you're looking at it on someone's like little camera phone, it doesn't look good. You're not getting the same effect. Like, I understand though it was done in a not the best way, how they were talking about the Suicide Squad clip that leaked. Like, you didn't get to see it in high def. Like, you didn't get to understand how it was presented. So you're missing out a little bit on that point. I mean, just wait around. They're probably going to release it. So.
Yeah, I think there are things that happen at Comic-Cons that are exclusive, and that is a part of being there, and it's an advantage of people who wait in line all day or for 10 days or whatever they do to get in when they get by the side door. And I think that there are benefits for that, and as the marketing people, the people that work so hard on those clips, like Nikki was saying, to see it in these like cheap, light, just terribly shot things, that would be horrific. If that's you're the director, you're the people who worked on this, and you're seeing this shoddily shot thing that leaked. The stuff's going to get out there when they can. This is a big promotional tool that they use specifically for people that attend Comic-Con, and it's unfortunate if you're not able to be there. I mean, it's just probably one of those reality things that not everybody has stars, so not everybody can watch it. I mean, it is one of those things.
Womp womp.
Sorry, everyone. People are on Twitter, though. People have agreed. I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't.
About the panel?
Yeah, about the panel and about waiting for content.
Yeah.
If you're not there.
Yeah. I mean, we wait for interviews. You sit there and wait, and weeks and weeks roll out while all these places, edit out and edit up and chop up their interviews in little tidbits. You wait for all of that. Like, why can't you wait for the studio to release its tidbits on season 2? Just because a couple thousand people got to see it in a room. I mean, They got to see a lot of other stuff that you didn't get to see.
Yeah.
And
a lot of like sweaty people dressed in anime costumes with swords that poke you in the face. I mean, like, are you pissed off about that?
And I'll say, I mean, it is okay to, you're watching it, if you're clicking on a link that somebody uploaded to YouTube, like, of course, it's there, watch it. The people that suck are the people that upload it and then the people that repost it. Like, don't put it on your Twitter feed, don't put it on Facebook, don't be a jerk and put it back out there for more people to see pirate content. If you want to send it around to your besties or whatever, do that. But, like, if you're watching it because it's there, that's one thing. It's a little bit less than just being the guy who being the girl who kept her camera on shakily while it was being played is just.
Yeah.
How are your friends not like, put your camera down? You're an asshole.
Right. Beth would have been talking in my ear. She can't shut up while you're recording stuff. Just kidding, Beth. I love you. It was me. If you watched any of her coverage, I couldn't bear to watch it again. Plus, it took like forever to upload. I'm sure you hear Beth and I like trying not to comment, but commenting during the panel.
I was very silent. Okay.
One time you like jabbed me because I think I groaned. Like, not a good groan. Not a Tobias Menzies on stage groan. Like
oh.
Okay.
I think it was Tiffany who called out my like pity laugh for them. Like, I just gave them a pity laugh. She's like, I can hear Nikki. I was like, oh, oops.
Oh no. Oops.
Sorry for
That was real. Okay, so we kind of transitioned there for a second, and I'm going to actually force us to transition into interviews because, as you see on the screen right now, on her bed, we have Julie with many tales of her first interview with Outlander cast. So it was exciting. We've all gotten a chance to kind of do different fun things with Outlander, our Outlander crew. And so since we knew Julie was coming to hang out with us this week, we really wanted to give somebody new, some new blood in there, get some new questions. And Julie is hilarious. If you've ever talked to her on the internet, you're an idiot. You need to do that. And sorry, Julie, just made you a bunch of friends that you didn't want to have. And we just knew that she was going to kill it, and she did. So, Julie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Well, all right. So going back to, somebody asked on one of the comments, they said, what were you thinking when they were talking? Like, what was going through your head? And I can tell you, honestly, what was going through my head was, don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. Don't call her Diana. Don't call her Diana Ron. I don't know why. I was also like, don't ask her about a rape. Don't ask her about rapes. Just don't even do that. And then it was like, and so that was going through. And if you notice, I'm doing this a lot in the interview. Like, you should count how many times I nod my head multiple times. No, it was a fantastic. It was like a great. It was a great experience. They were very kind. I mean, we joke around and we make fun of them sometimes, but I really did respect Ron more after it. And I was like, you know what? For people who complained about him and gave him shit after, what was it, the finale, and he did that impromptu Twitter Q&A and people kind of attacked him, I was just like, you know what? I would not have it in anybody else's hands but Ron Moore. And plus, he's from Chowchilla, Central Valley. There we go.
They connected over that.
I don't know what that is. That'd be like me being like, Mid-South, you guys, Mid-South.
Like, what?
Is that a tri-state area?
Yeah. And then Sam Hewen is just, the first thing you notice about him is he's just tall. He's just really, really tall. Like, I looked like an Oompa Loompa next to him. Like, here's my kid sister. Hey!
That's because you are unusually short for how you seem online.
Agreed.
You have a big personality, and then it's like, what?
How are you not short? Yeah, you seem taller.
Yes, when the girls first saw me, they looked at me, and I think my favorite line was from Jamie going, I don't want to offend you or anything. And I'm like, no, I want you to go. you seem really taller online. Representing the 5'4" people out there.
But you were like in flat, like you were so short when we met you. We were all in
You were all
heels.
in heels, and you weren't, and it was worse.
It looked like a really bad like graph of like our economy. And I was below.
You were from 2007 to 2011, and this is where we did.
Here's our unemployment rate in the country. No, but going back to.
And it's possible you were like, maybe your leg or your foot was a little crooked, like you were on your ankle.
It's true. Your right ankle is messing it up.
But no, they were great. They were great. I mean, I wish I could have spoke more to Sam and Katrina, but I have to give credit to Jamie because Jamie was the one. Everyone was so excited about the French cuss word. And by the way, that one online, whatever they were, outlet that recorded my answer and put it as their own, and then.
Who?
Yeah.
Let's do a big TN middle finger up.
The funny thing, I watched it and I went, that sounded familiar, and I'm like, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
They do that.
They do that. I should have been whispering to them, like,
Right.
in my ear and in my microphone.
Right.
But then
AT&T verse, who was standing next to us.
What, Nick?
I said it was probably AT&T U-verse who was standing next to us. Screw you guys, U-verse. Also,
That's not who it was.
We should do a video of all of us cussing in French, and I never say cussing, but she said cursing in French, and send it to them.
I don't know anything.
I'll teach y'all some.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know how to do it in Spanish either. I only know good old American, guys.
Well,
That's an American.
If y'all want a little bit of gossip from the press room,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Hewen had a little bit of a cold. He needed some tissues before the interview started, and then mid-interview he needed more tissues, and he asked for some black coffee.
He
So
drinks his coffee black, ladies. Get your breakfast in bed ready.
And handshake. It's very firm and soft.
You shook your hand? Oh.
He shook my hand. I mean, I might have like tried to caress it a little bit, like when he got it out, like this. Oh no. Okay.
Are his eyes very piercing in person? They just kind of like.
I did get lost in them for just a second.
You Debbie
For as much as we like give him a hard time because he's like Jimmy Fraser, you have to give him a hard time. Sam Hewen in person is like a beautiful man.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're like, what the hell's going on with your hair? Like, can we get you a new hairdresser half the time? Like, I mean, it's not his decision. He has to do something with those long. Kind of his hair looks like mine. Yes, but if you dyed my hair red, I'd have Sam Hewen hair. Like, I don't. No. Okay.
You've got 2 wigs worth more than he does.
So he, all the hard time we give him.
Call a moratorium on talking about his hair. I mean, for real, you guys.
Probably not. Probably won't happen. But for all the hard time we give Sam Hewen for his just looks in general, because we are so critical of somebody that we love, he is a beautiful man.
He is.
And it is wonderful.
And very nice.
And very sweet.
Extremely nice.
That was the thing. That first thing I said was, I introduced myself like, "Hi, I'm Julie." He goes, "Hi, I'm Sam," and I just thought that was like the sweetest thing ever because it's like, I know you're Sam. That's great. Thank you. That was very polite of you. And he really does. When he answers a question, you could tell he really does. And Becca and Beth probably know this. He does actually think about it, and then he answers it, and he gives you a great answer, and you're like, all right. He does invite. So.
He's earnest. Like I said, that's like the #1 thing. He's very earnest. He's very for real.
And I'll say this: Katrina Balfe has the world's greatest skin ever.
Yeah.
Like,
Fuck her.
I just want. She needs to be like. She needs to teach me.
She's tall too. Very tall.
Very tall.
Yeah.
I appreciate that in a woman.
Yeah.
A tall person.
Lots of height there.
I mean, honestly, is usually the most striking person in a room.
Mm-hmm.
When she's in a room, like above everybody else in a room, there's 50 people in there, and there's plenty of gorgeous people in that room, and you're just like, wow, she's literally the most striking person here. Unless Tobias is in the room, and then you're like, what, Tobias? And then you're like, oh, Katrina.
They were kind and generous in their answers, and Ron and Diana were great, and But yeah, Sam and Katrina were very sweet, and yes, she is gorgeous, and he is lovely to look at. Like, I could stare at Sam Hewen for another 5 hours, for 5 hours too. That's
Another 5 hours.
You're at her.
I did it once. I stared at him for 5 hours one time. I would like to do it again.
Speaking of being nice, he was very nice to us when we saw him outside of the party that we saw him at.
We did.
When we got our selfie. We want to talk about that night?
Sure. Go ahead.
So we stopped to talk to some Outlander friends. We already said this on the blog, but we stopped to talk to some Outlander friends who were standing outside a hotel room waiting for people to come.
Not a hotel room. It wasn't
Not a hotel room. a
Talking.
A door.
A door.
Right. Lots of black,
Right.
lined up. And there were lots of people there, and the people we were talking to were not like right up against the door. Right. We were like on the curb behind some other people. We were just like kind of chilling. And we were talking to them forever, and then somebody else came out, and we're like, eh. And then Sam came out, and I was like, oh, well, there he is, and the girl that we were talking to really wanted a selfie with Sam. That was like her number one thing. And so we were like, Sam, come take a picture with her. She really wants to see, I wasn't saying that, somebody else was. And he came over, and we got a picture with her, and then I said, well, hey, Sam, and he looked at us, and he was like, hey! He just had like this big, like, hey!
He did that. He did. He did a really high-pitched hey.
Yeah, he did. And then he was like, we haven't talked this whole week or something like that. Like, we know. Where have you been? And then we took a selfie.
Right there.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Oh. And these short arms took it.
Good job. Good job.
No, he was very sweet.
He was really sweet.
Yeah,
Because there were plenty of the other people that came out before him did not stop for anybody.
Mm-mm.
And that was one of the, I mean, they aren't any bigger stars than he is. And they came out and just kept walking and went straight to ours. And he took a picture with somebody that was near the door. He took another picture with somebody else. And then he stopped and talked to us. And
Fun fact, because everything goes back to Twilight, the first person he took a picture with was Mandy's Mind. I don't think I told you that, Nikki.
Oh, yeah.
Old Twilight fan. Old big
It
Twilight fan.
all goes back to Twilight.
All goes back to Twilight.
But anyway, he was very, very sweet. He did not have to stop. There was nobody else stopping, and he did.
Was Katrina not at that party?
I don't know.
I didn't see pictures of her.
Are there
but
like official pictures from him at the EW party?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't see anything. I don't care.
no, but even his bodyguard was telling him, and I remember this. Come on, Sam, we gotta go. We gotta go.
Yeah.
And Phil came over,
Yeah.
and we took pictures, and then he left like a little Scottish, like a little Nessie, just going.
Floating back to Scotland.
Go flying back to
We
Scotland.
should talk about outside Outlander and all of that. Outside Comic-Con.
Yeah, let's start with Katie, because Katie, I believe, is the best TNer at Comic-Cons, because she somehow gets into all these amazing things, and like we are like, okay, we're gonna do Outlander. Obviously, Nikki's gonna get into some Game of Thrones things somehow, and then there's a couple other things that we're gonna do, and then we're gonna sit around the hotel room while Katie does everything else. So Katie, please tell us what you did this year.
Yeah, I have a problem, which is I love to plan stuff. So whenever, like as soon as I found out I was going, like I was like on all the websites trying to figure out what I could possibly do, and I did find a great website, which is the outsidecomicon.com.
Yeah.
And it just had all of these things. Like it had the that Sleepy Hollow brunch that I went to.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that they did at the entire freaking Comic-Con.
Wow.
And it was great to see Orlando and Lindy Greenwood there. And they were fabulous, and it was a lot of fun. And I would not have found it anywhere else because they didn't do anything, which was, I think, a huge mistake after a totally crazy finale that just like blew everything out of the water. I think the fans could have really used a little bit of hand-holding and a little bit of like idea of what was coming up in the next season, because I think it was like really a stark and violent end to that season.
Did they not do anything because they're filming, or was there another logistical reason?
That was the story. So I guess, it was only Orlando who plays Frank Irving and Lindy Greenwood who plays Jenny Mills who were there at all. And I guess Orlando did do one event in the parking lot on Friday. But those were really the only two events. So I think that was a fail on their part because I think they're in a really tenuous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Place.
caught up on this show this past season. I was really into it the first season, and then I was like, and then it was kind of.
Well, they
But-
should have just taken advantage of Tom Meissen. Like, just bring him out, parade him.
Honestly.
Seriously, just
I mean,
Bring him. Have him serve pancakes.
he
Just-
was
And
he
have
was
an
the
eyebrow
voice-
thing?
Yeah.
He was my direction voice on Waze for a while.
Like actually his voice?
Yeah, they did like a promotion through Waze. Like they do it for certain movies or
That's
TV
wonderful.
shows, and so he doesn't say any street names, but he just generally says like, "Turn your carriage to the right."
Oh my god, I love that.
holy
so-
shit.
So that was fun for a while.
So did they talk at all about the show when they were serving you pancakes, or what did they do?
I think they really worked the room, and they sat at each table. Like they were like really amazing. They sat at each table and talked to everybody. And I tried, I talked to Lindy and I talked to Orlando, and they just were not. They kind of claimed that they didn't really know, they just started filming, and it was mostly, Tom and Nicole who were filming now. So they claimed to not really know what was happening with the new season. I don't know if that's true, but I was not able to get any info.
You know what? That is such a cool thing, though, anyway, that they did. Imagine if they tried to have an Outlander brunch. There wouldn't be a place. There wouldn't be, it wouldn't be, you couldn't go.
You couldn't go.
Nobody would be able to go.
What do you mean?
Because it would be full of the ladies that we know are always there. I mean, it'd just be so full of people that it'd be impossible to get into.
Yeah. All the usual suspects would be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and their
Canines.
companions.
Anyway.
Yeah, he would serve pancakes. Has a little hairnet on.
Yeah, it wouldn't be sanitary because the canines.
It would just be impossible because it would be too gigantic. I love that follows like a great show. It has awesome people in it. Orlando Jones is super. I mean, it has all these awesome people in it, and they got to do like a brunch and kind of come and talk to you. That's awesome. Like that's.
Did you wait in line for a long time, Katie?
I didn't. Like I missed getting tickets. You could actually buy the tickets online, and I just decided to show up because I saw on the Facebook page that if you didn't have tickets, you could, try to get a slot. And enough people didn't, got their tickets and decided to not come that everyone who showed up was able to get in. So nobody was left behind. But
That's
it was
awesome.
great. Yeah.
And you got to go on the Vikings cruise, but not the one with the cast, right?
No.
We tried so hard. We emailed that woman, Janine. I don't know if that was her name, but it sounds right.
I couldn't, they had no information about what the contest was to get on the ship. So I had alerts on every single person who might, I had Clive and Travis and Alexander and like everyone in Scandinavia. I'm like, somebody is going to alert me.
The president.
Went to Geek and Sundry, which in the Indigo Room, which has no cell reception at all whatsoever. And I came out an hour later, and there were like 52,000 tweets where they had tweeted people the contestant form, like, congratulations, you get a form to fill out to enter the contest.
Oh, that's
started like I just ran through the city, like running after the Vikings ship, trying to get an entry form. It was really sad. But I got a second place prize of getting to go without them, but that was not nearly as fun.
right.
That's not fun at all. I mean, I'm sure it was, but
It was.
I'm disappointed for you.
Yeah.
Tell us about the panel. What was the best part? If I didn't get into Game of Thrones, that was where I was headed.
It was so good, and it was. I mean, I think it's a lot of what you were saying about the Outlander one. They're just so comfortable and so excited about being there, and just, they didn't really give a lot away about the next season, but just that the stories they told about the filming were really funny, and they were able to kind of weave somehow a story that connected all of those stories together and kept coming back and for punchlines and stuff. And I mean, it did really start out right with Alexander Ludwig, Bjorn, pulling Travis Fammel's chair out from behind him and having him just disappear behind the dais, which is just completely hilarious. I mean, it was just seamless and just perfect. But Clive, as I said in my post, I love him so much, and he is just so excited about being there and being on the show and about the fans, and he'll just really interactive and really just has a really great personality, and that's what just kept it going. And the fan energy was amazing. Everyone was dressed up, and they had what were they, the vuvuzelas, the big horns that make the noises. And we had all been sitting there through Teen Titans and Man on the High Castle, and we'd been there all day. I got in line at 11 o'clock in the morning for the 3:30 panel, and we were ready. We were totally ready.
I love that though. That's what I love about Comic-Con, when you go to a panel that you're excited about, and the people in the room are excited about it, and everybody's just happy to be there. The cast, the moderators, the people that are around you. It's like nothing else. It's so great. I love it.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And, going into Sense8, which is not, for whatever reason, the cast was not allowed to be there. But, it was the same amount of, passion, the way the creator, Joe Straczynski, talked about it. And then the fans, when it was audience question time, it was just, person after person talking about how grateful they were to see people like them on screen, and to, be really thankful about, this incredible, the incredible characters, and the differences of lifestyle backgrounds and sexual orientations and everything was just so powerful, and even without the cast, it was an amazing event from that standpoint.
That's
and
awesome.
it was very small. Everyone left after Vikings, so it was we did all the elbowing thing to get up to the front, which is just, they don't tell you about that. How you have to stick elbows in old ladies' faces to better your position between panels.
I'm sorry you have a dog. I'm not your friend.
Speaking of Sense8.
Oh wait.
What?
Yeah, speaking of Sense8. Oh, what were you gonna say, Nikki? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, you haven't done a Comic-Con panel until you've elbowed your way to the front so you could get the best spot.
I don't done that, but
well, you have missed out, my friend.
Next year.
I did elbow a couple of people in the Star Wars press cage. I'll be honest.
Exactly.
I did. Yeah.
Get up there.
But speaking of Sense8, we'll go back to that really quickly. If you guys like Hangout later, we're going to be doing one of these Google Hangouts about Sense8 in the month of August. Just for the month of August, we're going to do it every week, and we're going to be talking about each one of the Sense8s, and it's going to be me and Jamie and Julie and Katie and probably some other folks. So if you like that show, if you haven't watched it yet, binge watch it. Watch all of it. It's on Netflix, Sense8, and then join us for that when we get it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Seriously.
We're starting next week. Next week's August.
Yeah. Next week.
So, okay.
I'm gonna, since we're teasing things coming up in the fall, we're gonna do a superhero one of these as well. So
Yay!
we don't have a date yet, but that'll be just as fun as all of those things.
Yeah, lots of superheroes. There's a ton of new shows and then a ton of stuff that's currently on. I think there's a ton of content to be discussed. And speaking of that, let's just quickly go through, since we're kind of wrapping up, what our favorite moments of San Diego Comic-Con 2015 were. We all did very different things. We had, just to throw it out there, Karen, we're missing her tonight, Douglas Beard on Twitter. She was under the weather, so she's not joining us tonight. But she was there as well. She kind of came with Julie without tickets and was just like, I'm coming to hang out with you guys, and it was awesome. And we got to just do some fun, like later in the evening things with you guys, and you got to see the craziness that is Comic-Con without being in. Because if you haven't been down there, it's crazy whether you have tickets for inside the convention hall or whether you're just walking around. Like, it's San Diego just is taken over by this place. So anyway, let's each kind of go down the line, talk about our favorite moment or moments. And Beth, I have a feeling I know the answer to this.
Hands down, my favorite moment was when Elijah Wood.
Not the favorite.
We saw a lot of people. It was kind of cool to meet Elijah Wood and talk to him and just be like, hey, you know, thanks for being Frodo or whatever. I don't know what movie I'm signed in this poster.
Like, what the hell? It's called Cooties. It was just premiered in Philly the other night and looks weird.
Yeah. But that was kind of cool. But, I mean, hands down, I don't think anything is going to compare to the Star Wars panel for me. It was transcendent. Like, I mean, you don't get the chance to be in the presence of those people ever. And when I mean, I guess a lot of people do. They do a lot of conventions. The hair is just important, doesn't? But I mean, I was crying. Like, I wish I could like explain it, and I think I did. Like, because we had happy hour. I missed the majority of our happy hour because I was standing in the press cage for the Star Wars panel, and I was just blown away. I was just so exhilarated. It was a religious experience. It was just like everything that you deal with when you're a kid growing up, and then all of a sudden those people are right in front of you. They're talking about making more Star Wars, and it's just amazing. It was. I could have just died right then. It would have been great.
I'm so glad you got to do that. What's Outlander saying?
Nothing.
Jamie.
For me, the highlight was the WB Movies panel. I got to be in the press cage for that, and so we got to see the cast of the Suicide Squad, and they had flown them in. They were in the midst of shooting, and so they came out, and it was really cool, and like we got to see that footage that eventually got leaked, and then they officially released it. But just the energy of the panel was so amazing, and I think I talked about it on my post. They had so normally in Comic-Con in Hall H, there's just the main screen that's at the back of the hall, or the front of the hall, and then there's little screens just throughout so people in the far back can see. But for this specific panel, they had screens on the side walls too, so it kind of like wrapped around the entire hall, and so they kind of made it this surround sound, surround visual, like as they introduce things, so they kind of like pop up on the screens and go across. I mean, it was just a really unique way of presenting all the like the different movies and the characters, and so that was really awesome. And then we got to see, and then part of that was the Batman versus Superman panel. So my one of my top crushes is Henry Cavill, and so he like walked across, and then he was just sitting there, and of course like I didn't have a good camera, so I couldn't really get good shots. I'm like, damn you, iPhone 5! Like, every time I zoom in, it was blurry. But I'm really excited for that too. I'm a big comic book superhero fan. I just have memories of, I was born in 1980, so as a young child I saw Superman and Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve, and just like that's just one of those things that I just remember as a kid watching and loving. So like to see this new iteration of it, and I'm just really hyped and excited, and obviously I'm like spitting and slurring and lots of S words.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you.
Wait, was Jared Leto at the Suicide Squad panel?
No, he wasn't.
No Jordan Catalano? That's a fail right there.
Yeah. Yeah, my 14-year-old self had a major crush on him.
Yeah, who didn't?
Yeah, seriously.
My 11-year-old self.
That's like, ew, boys.
That's him.
He's probably too busy rock climbing. If anyone has Snapchat, you should follow him on Snapchat. He's an awesome celebrity Snapchat.
Oh, really?
It's like totally him all the time. He does amazing stories. Follow him.
Awesome.
I'm looking right now.
Julie, favorite moment or moment?
Wait, who, me?
Yes. Shorty. Hey, Shorty.
I thought you said Jubilees. I'm like, is that my new nickname? I'm like, all right, I'll go with it. I'll get like sappy. I had two favorite moments. One was finally meeting everybody because we talk, whether it's through text or tweets, and it was finally good to meet everybody, and then everyone finally got to see the real. They're like, the was here. No. But it was good to meet everyone, and obviously the interview and meeting Sam and Katrina, but really meeting Sam and staring into his eyes. And I found love in a hopeless place. Like we're just the same. We made just a tiny.
Awesome.
Fun, real quick, a little Julie story. We were at a party and we were talking to we were talking to some random guys, and then we were talking to these girls. And they work for Clever News, if you've ever come across their videos on YouTube. And I was just thinking the entire time that the girls looked familiar, but I couldn't place them at first. And then I realized the one girl that was the redhead, she was the person in that interview with Paul Rudd that went viral, where he was like kind of like play farting throughout the interview. That was her. Because I was like, why does this girl look so familiar? And I was like, that's amazing that like your people recognize you because you were in an interview with Paul Rudd where he decided to make a big fart joke out of the entire interview.
Oh gosh,
which is amazing.
Like,
So that's
afterwards, and I was like, he's like, it's the girl from the fart video, and I'm like, God, I had so many questions.
Oh, that's awesome.
I didn't hear that story. It's the first time I'm hearing that mess.
I know, like eventually Jamie was like, we saw the Clever TV people. I was like, I don't know, I was staring off into the distance, pretty drunk on my champagne that night.
Yeah.
Well, Julie and I were trying to be good single girls and walk around, do a couple laps.
I got surrounded. I was surrounded by a group of men.
And I was just staying by the fire. I was like, I'm going to hang out by this fire. It's the only time I've been warm the whole time.
Having some boring adult sex conversations. Very boring. They
were boring. It was very illuminating.
I'm kidding! Anyway, Katie.
Hi.
Oh,
I'm an interloper.
I'm glad we didn't go into detail.
Go away. Hi.
I'm glad I'm not the only one with that issue.
This is why I'm down in the dungeon right now. They're like, my husband, whenever I'm like, I'm going to do a hang Outlander, he's like, go to the dungeon. I'm like, okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah. My favorite moment was definitely the one I wrote about in my post when Clive Standen was throwing the T-shirts out into the audience of the Vikings panel, and that crazy event volunteer was trying to shut him down, and he just, having him lean forward and be like, "Are you telling Rolo to not throw T-shirts?" And then he just went like rapid fire T-shirt gun.
That's amazing.
Definitely the highlight for me. It was fantastic.
That is awesome.
Aww. Mickey.
I love Rolo. I wish I had seen Rolo do that. I love the crazy, overly protective Comic-Con volunteers for like no reason. Overly protective.
Right.
Always.
You're a volunteer. Get over your life.
Yeah. Calm down a little bit. All right.
Like that one Hall H security guy who was.
Oh my God, he was so intense. He was like yelling at me and Beth. Like he was like these three guys behind us, me and Beth. He was like, "I'm gonna throw everyone out of here right now!" Like literally asked this one question. I was like, "Whoa, this escalated really quickly. I don't know what happened."
Yeah.
It was insane. But he went away anyway.
He did.
My favorite moment, I think, was actually outside Comic-Con. Was the Nerdist podcast panel with Tom Hiddleston, Guillermo del Toro, and then it was followed with Maisie Williams. She did a podcast after them. And I went with Emily, who writes for us, Emmylou, who She did a ton of Nerd HQ reviews for us. It was amazing for two reasons. Obviously, it's Tom Hiddleston. He's an amazing interview. He is so good. He just gets how you talk to a crowd and is really interesting and is really hot. And then Guillermo del Toro, the director of Crimson Peak and like all these other crazy movies, he is made for conventions. The man is so hilarious, so interesting. You have to listen to his podcast, or to that podcast, or to the panel video. He's so good. Like, it's just hard to describe how, like, what makes a good person for a panel and what makes, like, a bad person. So, anyway.
When you see it, you're like, oh, that worked.
Yeah.
Oh, they're really interesting and say the
That's
F
how it
word.
works.
It's, like, funny, you know. So, that was the best part. And then runner-up, obviously, was our party. Getting to see all of you guys who came was so fun. And there's a ton of stuff we need to give away still to you all. Sorry, we got a little drunk on meeting all of you and forgot to give away all the fun stuff.
So you kind of took mine, because it's interesting, because the people I've run into, it's okay, since Comic-Con, I'm like, what was the best part? What was your favorite thing? And I didn't see a ton of panels. That's not shocking to anybody. I'm not a big geek. I go for fun and friends and just for doing stuff for the website. And but definitely, we've been talking so long about doing something for That's Normal. So many of you guys come and are there, and we talked to you online, but we've never gotten to meet you. So it was really fun throwing our first. I mean, not first. We've done meetups before, but they've always been. We did a couple at Nikki's house, so that's a little different. Then we did one at a bar once. This was like our first, like, thank God we had Emily. Emily's like a party planner because she took care of it for us. But yeah, it was fun. It was awesome. We had a really great space, and it was casual, and I think we learned some things that we'll do for our next party or not do. But it was just really fun just kind of having a casual hangout with people that we get to talk to all the time. I mean, that's what this is all about, right? That's Normal for us is always just about these relationships that we've built with you guys. Nikki and I obviously have known each other forever, but the four of you sitting here, we all met because of this little thing we call the internet. And obviously every year and every day we're meeting new people. And we love that, and we love that we can continue those relationships. So that really was, I know that sounds really cheesy, but I mean that was really my favorite part of that. And not to mention just spending time with some of my best friends, you guys. Really great. Really great. And our winner for tonight's Outlander prize, which Nikki held up, a bag. It says got #Jamf is Nikki.
Little's Rule. Patricia, Little's Rule.
Yay! Congratulations, Patricia.
Or an email or something and let us know where we can send that bad boy.
We'll follow you.
You got to meet her at the party, so yeah. She's there.
Real quick, we didn't really talk about it, but we wrote posts about it, our cosplays. If you have ideas for group cosplays that you think would be fun for us, let us know. Send tweets.
That's a good idea.
Taking ideas. And don't go crazy.
Yes,
let's be
crazy.
Let's be honest. We were hipster Disney princesses because it was easy. We need easy but creative.
And so, because I can rewear all of that.
Right, exactly.
And don't make Beth wear her glasses.
Right. Yeah. Beth was really not in a good mood.
I was in a fine mood.
You were. For Beth being in a bad mood is like me on a normal day.
#Peacemaker.
#Peacemaker. She is a very happy person to share a bed with.
I'm a considerate sleeper. No, I did not like to wear a wig, glasses all day. I had a headache, which is why I left the party early.
Our party?
I left the party that night early.
The Scholastic.
The Scholastic, yeah.
Thursday night. Yeah, you guys, this was like we achieved the momentous, the best thing about Comic-Con, and we had party plans every single night. We did not buy many drinks, besides the fact that we threw a party. Well, we bought many drinks for that.
And we bottled.
That's true, yeah. We did. We bought some drinks there. Credit card statement's still coming in. But that was awesome. That was really fun. So I like that. Next year, let's just go to the next level. Let's get into the Nerdist party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, listening out there.
Yeah, if you're listening, please let us in.
I don't even care. I just want there to be a fireplace.
I
That's
know.
fine.
That party,
Like,
that was a great place, that last party.
Wednesday night, Saturday night, there was a fireplace. I was good. Thursday night, that's why I left. There was just like a heater and it wasn't on and we weren't close enough to it. And I was like, fuck this, I'm going to bed. It's cold.
I'm worried about next year because the Comic-Con gods made Comic-Con early this year and the weather was fan-freaking-tastic. And next year it's back to the end of July. I'm worried.
And it's a hot right now? It's like this week, next year?
Yeah, it's hot.
My problem with the end of July is that it's my daughter's birthday.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. You get the guilt trip.
I think it's like the 23rd something, like starting there.
Okay, her birthday's tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's early enough, Beth, but some year it'll car us over. Sucks. Oh, it's so late. I did like that it was early this year. Okay, any last wrap-up thoughts? Outlander, mid-level. It was mid-level.
Outlander was mid-level. I was disappointed. I just wanted a little bit more. Not necessarily like stuff outside the panel, but I wanted the panel to be a little bit bigger, better.
I think what Nikki just said, Tom Hiddleston, Guillermo del Toro, that's a hard word to say after a bunch of them saying that guy's name. They've been doing this for a long time. I think it comes off in a certain way I love seeing Katrina. I almost called her Christina and Sam, and they're great and wonderful, but I think it was missing a little bit of something, but it still was good. It wasn't the worst thing we've ever seen. It was mid-level.
I'll tell you this, and I didn't get a chance to say it because I guess we just started talking about other things. Season 2 looks amazing.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, we didn't
I really am incredibly, incredibly excited about Season 2 of Outlander. I think it's going to be better. I think guaranteed, you guys, this is guaranteed, it is going to be a lot crazier of an adaptation. You are not getting Dragonfly and Amber on screen. You're not. It's going to be a crazy adaptation. There's going to be all kinds of stuff that didn't happen in the books. It's going to be all kinds of stuff expanded, and you're going to have to deal with it, but it's going to make for some great TV. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think that's what we've wanted all along in all these Hangoutlanders is like, we trust you. You're an amazing showrunner. We know that you love this book. Now take it and adapt it the way that it really needs to be adapted. Stop really living in this world where book fans are like constraining you to a certain story. Like, I don't need that. I want the best story, the best television adaptation of this really great story I love. And I think we might be getting that in season 2.
I trust Ron more. I love Ron more. We're best friends.
You are. Her best friend.
Ciao, Chilla.
Ciao, Chilla.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us at Hangoutlander Comic-Con edition. We will do this again soon. Join us for Sense8 starting next week. Check the blog. We're going to podcast this. Shiz. We've got another podcast coming. That was book club later last week. And, lots of fun stuff coming at you late summer and into the fall. So we will chat soon. Thanks for joining us. Bye.